There are a variety of cache commands that you can set in Shake. One of the most important ones is in the Globals tab. You can set Shake's overall caching behavior. We'll click on the Globals tab, come down to the render controls and unfold that, roll that up until you see the cache mode parameter. The default setting is regular. This means it'll read and write cache and cache almost everything that you're doing, and this is used for your normal operations. Aggressive means it caches even more often than normal. You would use this when you feel it's not caching often enough. Click on it again and you get the None option. This tells Shake to neither read nor write to the cache. The time you want to use this is if you're working with a small system that has very limited amount of RAM. Of course, the price you'll pay is it'll increase the interactive render time in the GUI, which will slow down your shot development. The next click is Read Only. This means it will not write to the cache anymore, but it will read anything that's already in cache. The time you want to use this is if for some reason you want to preserve the current cache data and not overwrite it. In an earlier movie, we saw how to render the cache nodes, but there are more cache render commands that you need to know about. So let's go take a look at those. We'll add a cache node by selecting the 1K node here. From the Other tab, click on Cache, and that adds this cache node. To render the cache node, we'll come up to the menu bar, click on the Render button, pull down and release on the Render Cache Nodes, and that opens the Cache Render Parameters window. If you have multiple cache nodes, you can select one or two or however many you want, and with the Selected option, it'll render out only those selected cache nodes. If you want to render all of the cache nodes, click the All button. This is very much like the File Out node render parameters. The time range we've already seen, but the use proxy is very important. Shake's behavior is to render out a proxy in the cache node that matches the current version that you have your GUI set to. You can tell Shake, for example, to render a proxy 1, but it won't fetch those out of the cache until you have switched the GUI to the matching proxy 1. You can also render several different proxies to cache, and then Shake will in fact switch and pull up the appropriate cached proxy as you switch proxy versions in the GUI. The default for the sequential button is on. This means that Shake is going to calculate all the nodes in the tree above each cache node and then write each cache node out sequentially. If you turn it off, that tells Shake to render all the cache nodes at the same time. The time when you want to do that is if cache nodes share some of the upstream nodes. One important thing you should know: when you render the cache nodes, the image that's saved has been cropped to the viewport size. Any pixels that might have been in the infinite workspace are gone. In this movie, we saw how we could change Shake's cache behavior by going to the Globals tab and changing the cache mode parameter. We also saw when rendering cache nodes to disk, we could set whether we wanted selected nodes or all of them, as well, of course, the time range, but also how we could set a proxy to cache. But we have to keep in mind that Shake will only use the cached proxy when it matches the proxy selection in the GUI.